Without further delay, I'm going to invite John Ellett to the stage. John, coming up. Big round of applause for John Ellett. John, I'm going to hand you this microphone, John, and let you take it from here.
Thank you. I appreciate you letting me ask a bunch of dumb questions today. This is not my domain, but I think part of the fun will be to demystify some of this Web3 crypto NFT blockchain stew for those that are not as familiar. And so what do you do about it? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We've got a great panel. Let me invite the group up. Victoria, James, and Stefan, come on up. We'll go ahead and grab your mics and have a seat. And instead of me introducing you, you know yourselves better than I do, but we've had fun getting to know each other already. Who are you and how did you come into this domain?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Stefan Rust. I'm the founder of Laguna. I got into Bitcoin it was Bitcoin at the time, and there was only Bitcoin in 2012. So I've been in this space for quite a while. And I was invited into this space by software developers. And they wanted to get paid in Bitcoin. And what is a Bitcoin? So I had to do my research, and I found a wallet. I found somebody who would sell it to me on eBay using PayPal before they banned it. And then I was amazed by how instantaneous, no fees were involved in such a transaction. Compared to a bank, sending it to somebody in Guatemala at the time would have cost $700, $800 to wire some funds, and it would have taken 7-8 days to clear. And just that transaction was so blissful that's what got me into Bitcoin. And I've been in Web3 ever since.
Yeah. Terrific. Victoria.
Hi, I am Victoria Dickson. I'm on the product team at Veritone. I've been in the Web3 space for about a year now, across encryption as well as on product. So very excited to be here. Got into this space through personal enthusiasm and a desire to be on the forefront of this next chapter within, internet Web3, and very excited to be here.
And James.
Hello everyone, this is James Wolf from DFG and JSquare. I manage 2 VCs, so start from 2015 with $20 million to start. Right now we manage close to $1 billion, mainly focus on the investment on different layer 1 protocols and also Web3 adoption for different kind of applications.
Great. So I want to start pretty broad. The people I talk to are marketing leaders who probably don't know what's going on or what to do. Let's start with Web3. What is it? Why is it so exciting for y'all to want to spend your time and energy around it? And what do we need to know as both people and business people to take advantage of Web3?
That's quite a loaded question.
We got 20 minutes.
Starting off with a doozy.
Yeah, I think Web3 is really exciting, right? It's fast moving. It's a new industry. Everybody's really young in there. There's a lot of energy, and there is a philosophical movement involved in Web3. I think the large portion of, at least the builders involved in Web3, are really committed to providing a new alternative system. And I think that's the interesting. And it's young, it's for the next generation. And it's a system that is trustless. It transcends geography, cultures, religion, you name it. It really, and that's the beauty about it. And everybody's, look at us, we're all different, from different backgrounds, different origins and different cultures. And we're all working together to solve a common problem, which is make this system work.
Yeah, I echo everything you said, and I'll add, essentially taking what we've already been given as the internet as it is today and figuring out how to make it better. Figure out what the future of that looks like. Figure out where maybe there's some gaps in what it is today. How can we fix that? How can we make sure to pull back any detriments? And how can we continue to innovate?
So what are those gaps that you're all focused on and you're investing in?
Yeah, maybe. You're investing, right?
Yeah.
So you're finding the gaps. Where are you going to put the monies today?
Yeah, I think for Web3 and also the gaps here is like we're gonna find a lot of things to do great adoption. For example, NFT. Why NFT is very popular. It's about adoption, right? If you explain what is difference between the layer one, especially like Solana, Polkadot, Avalanche, what is different to the normal people or the newcomer to the to the industry, that would be very, very hard, right? So people cannot understand it. But if you told them about NFT, they will very easily understand it. So what we all do for the investor and the project is about adoption and educate more people about this is Web3, this is crypto, and you get a chance to own your own asset. That's probably the most important thing. The ownership is, I would say, the key to the Web3 world, right? It's not only about the money, right? For the money, you have to do custody in the banks, right? So you have to a third party to manage for you. Right now, at least you have an option that you can manage your own money. So that's the most important part of it. But beyond that, you also own the other things like the data, like the other content, like the other, art paintings. You just have the true ownership by yourself. That's, I think, the most important thing. If we're educating them, this is the case by throughout different kind of master like NFTs, others, then we do more adoption. I think eventually we will get billions of people to enter into Web3 world.
And Victoria, you're applying AI to improve the web. What's that going to bring to us as business people?
A lot. No, there's a lot that AI is already doing completely separate from this whole industry of Web3. And there are a lot of things where there's a lot of synergy. So for instance, one of our products that's actually currently on the market is within the energy sector, and we've been able to apply that to Web3. So for instance, mining or node farms, we're able to, through AI, optimize their energy usage to reduce their footprint and get closer to a carbon neutral and guide them in that direction. So that's something we're already doing, right? And then as far as integration good catch.
A breeze.
Yeah, it feels great. And then as far as integration into the actual technology, with AI, essentially we can do, I don't want to give away too much as far as where we're going, but the verification and authenticity of IP, which we've already been doing without AI and without Web3, or with AI without Web3, bringing that into the Web3 space so that the actual creators and the actual IP owners can be protected, coming to the mass consumer and be like, yes, this is me, look, I can prove it, essentially.
Stefan, you're the distributed finance guy. What's wrong with the currency we've got? Why do we need a new one?
Well, number one, the currency that we have is devaluating all the time. And it's become really hard to do transactions, right? I mean, I was talking about why I got into Bitcoin. It was because I could do it on a peer-to-peer basis. I can send anybody money from my phone to their phone directly without any intermediary, instantaneously. And that to me is brilliant. And it's a great user experience. I will prefer to spend and pay anybody in crypto or in a token before I go to a bank and have to use KYCs, login, 5 keys, or approvals. And I think the money institutions today have built up so many barricades that are regulatory forms and requirements and licenses and approvals that you need in order to interact with the money that you've worked hard to earn. Why is that so cumbersome? Why is it so difficult to work with that? And I just feel the barriers today are no longer about building a great user experience by building a great facility to support money, you managing your funds. Instead, it's a regulatory barrier. Oh, we're regulated. You have to go through this process. Oh, that's the barrier that you have today, and that's a barrier that slows down on innovation. And that, I think, is not good for the future of society.
So is Bitcoin a transactional currency or an investment opportunity? And do those two come in conflict?
Yeah, they come. I mean, Bitcoin originally was a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And there are two elements to Bitcoin. It was the blockchain and then the currency itself, the token. Today, it has evolved to becoming the sort of gold 2.0, if you will. So it's become an asset that the industry has evolved to, and largely because the network itself, the chain, hasn't been able to support the volume at the price points that the market is asking for. And that's why you've had Ethereum, you've had the forks at Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash, you've had Ethereum pop up with the smart contracts capability. And when Ethereum started getting too expensive for transactions and too slow, then all of a sudden you have Polygon, you have Binance BNB chain, you have all these other sort of EVM compatible chains come up to try and bring it fast and make it cheap.
So, what as we're looking at the potential of Web3 and the things that it can bring, what are the obstacles today that are real that you're trying to address, or the industry should be addressing?
I would say first and foremost, education for people who are not in the bubble. I think someone on a previous panel alluded to tech being very good at creating their own bubbles. And this, in my opinion, is not a bubble that will remain a bubble. It's going to end up in mass adoption, and figuring out collectively as a community how we can start reaching out to that end user, the ideal end user, right, which is everyone, anyone we can pick off the street, and try and explain it to them in an effective way, starting as individuals and then also branching to the companies we're a part of, making that a part of our go-to-market, that education piece.
What other technical or infrastructure problems are we having?
I would say the scalability issue is still the one, right? Students still need layer 2 or before the H 2.0 to come. And that's always the problem. The other is cross-chain. Right now, you got all the, kind of bridge got hacked, right? So still there could be some improvement on top of that. Or you can use Cosmos or Polkadot, whatever. So I would say, the interaction between two protocols is, definitely the trend of the future. And, once you solve these two one of these two maybe problem, then we can have another bull market, I would say.
So that's basically multi-chain, right? So at the moment you have coins that sit on one chain or one nation, if you will. How do we provide the ability to transfer money from one nation or one chain onto another chain seamlessly and with less vulnerability, so securely?
And problems like that get solved typically through some kind of standards or adoption of methodology that either are defined by an industry group, defined by the government, or the biggest player wins. How's that problem going to get solved?
Well, in crypto, it's a ruthless market. It's really Darwinism rules. We are rewarded based on our merits, not based on a regulatory framework that protects us or a standard. It is how do we build and create a standard and get mass adoption of that standard. And the way the blockchain industry has driven that is through open sourcing a lot of the code base. And then it's up to the community to adopt it and embrace it, improve it, or actually even fork it and build a separate path because I don't agree with the strategy that it's going. And, it's really evolved purely thanks to the open source software community as fast as it has.
Yeah, I think crypto gives the people the option to choose. Just imagine if you live in a country, you have to use that fiat no matter what, right? So you have to use that for payment, for doing anything. That if it's bad design, crazy inflation, whatever, you don't have other option unless you move to another country, which most of people are not able to do that. But in crypto, if you don't like POW, you can always choose proof of stake, right? You can go, if you don't like Bitcoin, you go to Ether. If you don't like Ether, you go to Solana or Polkadot. You can always have an option to choose to the best kind of protocol using, right? Then, it makes, all these kind of protocols, have a lot of motivation to make great improvement to let all the community people be loyal to them, right? If you stop making great progress, then people will leave. So it's a free open source, open world. Then, we're kind of giving, the best, I would say, incentive for the protocol to become better and better.
I think, and that's really, how do you move forward? How do you attract I don't know what we call them, immigrants into your protocol, right? How do you get developers to build on you and help move it forward? How do you create jobs on your platform and in your protocol, right? And I think that's really the jobs that we have today in crypto are jobs that 5 years ago we didn't even imagine would be possible. Solidity developers, it's the most sought after job. 5 years ago, nobody thought about that, right? We wouldn't have even known what that was, right? And so
I still don't.
You still don't. There you go. Okay. But yeah, or growth marketing individual, right? On Telegram experts or Discord channel managers, sort of, yeah, I think 5 years ago it would have been a very novel role. And today it's common amongst all of us in Web3.
Yep. So what misunderstanding do you think most business people have about Web3 and crypto that if we could change would advance the whole industry?
Yeah, they say it's making money very easily. I don't think that's the case. You still have to, dig into the industry very deeper and become a holder. Then you can make a lot of profit. It's not really easy to make money in the industry. So I think that's the biggest misunderstanding. And if people start to understand digging into the crypto industry, start to understand it, they will understand what is, how hard it is to do things in the crypto industry. It's never easy to succeed here.
I think also just that people think it's fake money, right? But even traditional fiat isn't necessarily asset-backed. So the differentiator, right, actually within Web3 is a majority of that cryptocurrency is backed by some sort of technology that it's also bringing to the market. Not just like the, shit coins, I don't know if I can curse, but, like the ones that aren't actually backed by anything. Yeah, and that's giving us all a bad name. But ones where there's legitimate technology backing it and or unique utility that elevates the whole market, the general consumer or business person doesn't necessarily even know what we're talking about, let alone the differentiator between those two.
I think the perception is an important. I think that's sort of what we're trying to say here is like Bitcoin and Web3 is super transparent. It's all available on a blockchain. There are explorers. You can follow every transaction. You can see every wallet. You may not know who owns that wallet, but you can see the wallet and you can see where the funds go between the wallets. For me, it's really the big thing is 95% of us in Web3 are good actors. The media picks up the 5% bad actors, and we are now trying to enforce that the 5% bad actors is the whole of the blockchain industry. And that's scaring away a lot of the others. How do we change that narrative? What do we need to do to address that? And I think Grit Daily and associations like that are really trying to bring and educate with experts on the panel that are actually in this industry that are normal people. We are docs, we're open, we're normal people. We're not gangsters. We don't wear masks, Maybe we are, but we're not wanted yet. No, but I mean, I think that's really the approach that we need to bring and change that narrative and have more and more active actors like Grit Daily and publish this kind of information.
And I feel like adding on to that point, us amongst ourselves, making sure that we're all in communication because we're essentially voting with our dollars and with our investments. And that way, if we have that transparency across ourselves in forums like this, where we can stay on the same page, then it allows us to invest in the right places where there are those good people versus bad apples.
So a lot of us have been on the sidelines kind of watching this whole thing evolve and haven't jumped in from an investment perspective yet. If you were to advise somebody like me who's ready to dip their toe, where would you be looking? What part of the industry would you be investing in?
I think doing your own research, and any one person who tells you and comes at you very emphatically, double check. Do your own research. I would say looking at the overall strategy of companies, not just what they're saying that they're doing within this particular area, but what they're trying to accomplish with what they're doing, as well as having members that are non-anonymous, right? I know that anonymity has kind of run next to crypto, but isn't necessarily a part of it or necessarily speaking to that same goal. So looking at the founders of wherever you're trying to invest and making sure that you believe in what they're trying to do and vote with your dollars in that way.
Yeah, I would say probably the blue chip coins first, like Bitcoin, Ether, because it's just safer. Before you do any research, you can always buy these. And the market goes down like 60% for Bitcoin and Ether, so probably a good time to buy. And it may go down further, but always good time to start accumulating some chips, right? Yeah, and for NFT stuff and really the others like layer one protocol, even more new emerging areas, especially applications, I really suggest do further research before you make any investment. But more blue chip things that you can, that will give you a lot of certainty. You just buy it at a low price, then for the next bull run, I'm pretty sure you will get pretty good return on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that advice is pretty good, and it's definitely the way to go, to be honest. I mean, the only thing I would add is I believe in builders, so people that are actually building in the Web3 world, and try and find somebody there who can give you advice, give you the right YouTube follower, channels to go to, the right sources to get input on, what wallet to download and install, where to go and buy your Ethereum. Do you do it on Coinbase first and then you move across into a MetaMask? How do you do that? I mean, there's a journey you go down. You are embarking on a journey, and you need to find somebody that you trust that is working in this industry, because they'll then know and have insights which and what that journey is going to like, and they can handhold you through that journey. It's not today just ape in and you're in there, right? It's a journey, and you're going to go down that journey. And once you go down it, it's amazing.
Well, thank you for indulging this neophyte. It's some pretty basic questions, but really appreciated the insight. And thanks again for being on the hot seat today.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
everyone.
much.
Thank you.
Wow, yeah. Another big round of applause. The one-of-a-kind John Ellett, Stefan Russ, Ashley Dickson, and James Wu. One more big round of applause for them.